The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Oh, well, it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay, then, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Well, where are we, first of all, Julia?
Well, we've had to take shelter in Potty Plotters HQ, the new summer house, because
It's not really summer, is it?
No, it's not. It's
Well,
cold.
it's still September. Anyway, so this is season 2. This is episode 33. And, well, we're going to be talking about being outside and all things wildlife-y sort of thing, as well as a lot.
So we've come inside to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not very good,
There is
is
a
it?
threat of rain, and we also know that you don't like the equipment getting wet. I mean, we don't mind getting wet, but...
No, we usually do get wet.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've
No,
mentioned...
water and electric doesn't tend to mix.
No. No.
No, I remember that from the olden days. Right, okay then. Well, here we are again.
Yeah.
Happy as can be. And everything. So, Gareth, have you got a speaking part? Do you want to say anything? You don't have to unless you really want to. Anything you do
no.
say will be written down.
No, mostly because you use everything against me later on in a court of law. So no, but if you would like to get in touch with us and you've got any questions, you can get in touch via Facebook, Instagram and X at Potty Plotters. I haven't updated TikTok for a long time. I need to do that. Sorry.
Memo to self.
Yeah, memo to self, email to self, update TikTok, and you can get us there at the Potty Plotters. You can email naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And if you would like to support us to keep us going, then you can head over to kofi.com No, wrong way around.
Now then.
Let me
It's
try
gone
that
to
one again.
pieces, hasn't
I
it?
have.
No stress.
No stress. I mean, I've just got back off holiday.
I know.
It's been very nice. It's been very warm, and I've come back to this, so you can imagine that my brain is slightly mushed.
Yeah.
You can head over to kofi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com
That was it,
/thepottyplotters and leave us a tip, and we'll use it to put the heating on with. Because it's cold.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
7 days ago today, because this is Sunday before it goes out on Wednesday. It's unusual that we're recording this close, but because I've been away, 7 days ago, 26 degrees, bright sunshine, just saying that, just having that one out there.
Yeah, as well, while you've been away, we've had frost.
Yeah.
Frost.
Frost. Yes. Yes.
What's going on? We need to get a certain weather person back on, I think.
Let's get the weatherman.
Yes.
And if we can't find one of them, we'll get Rob Rose back on, shall we?
Let's
Yeah.
just have Rob instead.
Yeah.
then.
Or Rose.
Oh, yeah, Rose, yeah.
Yeah.
I
She
don't
might be
mind, do
better.
that.
Yeah, and it's cruel. It's a cruel twist that we've had a frost.
Yeah.
And we have been desperately trying to keep the flowers going because, of course, we've got Macmillan mornings coming up
Yeah.
and we wanted to give flowers away. We've had a frost. Thankfully, I think the dahlias might get away with it. And then this week, it's forecast 21 degrees, which will be brilliant for the flowers. And this week we were taking some flowers again for a charity event that we did, and I went and checked on them and cut some flowers just in case we got the frost and stored them in here. But when I was on your plot, Elaine, some of your dahlias are only literally just coming into flower for the first time. So how cruel is that you've not even got a flower before we've got a frost?
And I think that this year's been particularly bad, actually, in that we put things in late because we thought it was so cold nothing was going to do anything. We were underwater for so long, so we knew that the tubers would rot if we put them in too early. So when everything had dried out, we put them in. We haven't had much well, we've had a show, it's fair to say, but not quite like we've had in the past. And now, as you say, they have been tinged with the frost, and some of the leaves have been burnt. So whether or not I actually get them into full flourish, I don't know. But as isn't it? I mean, we haven't got a horticultural show, in fairness. But, you know, it's amazing what people can turn out and where on earth and how they keep things, keeping them going for so long. I don't know. You've got
I've got a squeaky chair.
Squeaky chair.
I have got a squeaky chair.
Is that a result of the frost?
Everything, yeah. In fact, I was going to make a bit of a confession on air.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's not the chair.
No, it's not the chair. I was going to make a confession on air that this year there have been times when I've thought, why am I doing this? Shall I just give up?
What, podcasting?
No.
Oh, what?
Well, the podcast, no. But the plot itself, I've thought, it's really been a slog this year, hasn't it? And I think for anybody listening, I'm sure a lot of you have thought that. And we all live in hope that this is just a one-off year, because I think it has been a real challenging year. And for us, and I know you've said the same, you've said to me, I've thought about giving it up. And I think for us to even think about it, is quite telling, really, because we love our plots and we spend a lot of time down here. And for new starters, particularly, I think it's been challenging. Put it down to a bad year and give it a go next year. Don't give up this year. I'm seeing and I'm hearing from the committee actually that people are giving up plots because of the conditions we've experienced this year. But hopefully it's going to be a one-off. We've had really bad years in the past with droughts, haven't we? So, let's... I'm feeling more cheerful now. I've been in the seed catalogue, so I've got to do it again next year.
Seed porn. I mean, just looking out here, I mean, we've talked about how bad the year's been, and looking at, I mean, how much have you harvested this year? Has it been a really poor harvest so far? Have you actually sort of clawed back where you would expect to be by now?
No, I don't think we've had as much.
No.
Yet we've done really well with other stuff that we wouldn't have expected to do well with. So it's all been a bit higgledy-piggledy. And I would say particularly the tomatoes, whilst they've been later, I've had an abundance of them. You've done really well with
just
them.
Looking at
cucumbers have gone mental, Gary.
Just where HQ is based is directly in front of Julia's greenhouse with the tomatoes in them. Just looking, I mean, you've got quite a lot that are ready to pick on there. There's a few green ones still left. And just going back to mine at home, I came back from holiday and there was an abundance of ripe tomatoes ready to go. And there's still quite a few that the green or just starting to turn. And we had the first pepper off the other week, and there's another one starting to go red on there as well. But do you remember a few weeks ago, I'm trying to think how long ago it was, probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I showed you the side shoot that I'd taken off and planted, and it's the only one that had actually grown into a full-on plant. It's had some flowers on it, and while we've been away, they have been visited by the local bees, so to speak, and pollinated. But I'm not sure if it's actually going to produce anything because it's so late in the season. But that's probably what 3 and a bit foot off the floor now, and I was quite impressed with that because I wasn't expecting anything on there. But looking out at yours, you've got quite a lot of tomatoes. There's a few of those nice bell tomatoes ready to go, and then looking behind you in the polytunnel, all I can see is cucumbers hanging down.
Yeah, I mean, the polytunnel has been really interesting this year because normally in the summer I don't go in the polytunnel in the daytime at all. It's normally too hot. This year, I mean, I've even put the inserts back in the windows and closing the doors up, and I think there's only been about 2 or 3 days when I've literally not been able to go in there in the daytime. So that's an indication as how cool it's been at times. And in terms of your tomatoes, Gareth, I think this week it's forecast quite nice. So as long as you're watering them and as long as there's not too many leaves on so that the fruit can actually see the sun, I think you should be okay. Just bear in mind the temperatures are dropping at night time. So just keep the doors closed at night time. But
should we still keep feeding them at this time of year as well?
I don't. No. In fact, I stop virtually watering. I do it sort of once a week, if that. So there was a couple of days, because we had in-laws staying for the first half of while we were away, and then for the second part, so for the sort of the beginning part of this week, they hadn't been watered since about Sunday, and it was so bad on Thursday when we got back that I couldn't brave going into the garden. So it was Friday when they got their first watering this week. That's plenty. Plenty, honestly, and leave them because that does help to ripen the fruit. Because
of course with it not being as warm, the compost and the soil isn't drying out, so it doesn't really need as much watering.
But what about everything else then, Julia? So I've got some beetroot.
Of course you've got beetroot.
Obviously. And
some parsnips as well.
I have actually, yes. But I shall leave those, although we've now had our first frost, but I'll leave them because I don't want them just yet. But certainly I was thinking of the beetroot. I will be taking that out. I'm not leaving that in. But it is something that you can leave in for the next few months, can't you?
You can. Yeah, you can. As long as the ground doesn't freeze, you should be okay fetching it out. But, I mean, the difficulty has been as well, when things have got growing, and with the weather, we've had a lot more diseases as well. So things like the courgettes, the squash plants, even the peas, they've all had powdery mildew. So that's not...
How do people know that they've got powdery mildew on their vegetables then?
It's all white. All the plant turns a bit white.
It's like chalk,
it does. Yeah, it's like a dusting of it. And, you know, first of all, you can start to remove some of the leaves and hopefully that'll hold it back. But if it gets a hold of it, it'll kill the plants off. So that's been a challenge in itself. Also, rust, and I'll talk about that later on when we talk about snapdragons. But again, there's rust spreading around, and it's because of the weather conditions, Elaine. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? It is a challenge, but it's demoralising too.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say there are people that I used to see up here, I don't know, during the daytime, the evening time, but I used to see them quite regularly. I haven't seen them all year.
No.
So I think people have changed the way that they're actually allotmenting as well, which is quite sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but let's hope it's just been a one-off year, because we have had, I mean, it was only a couple of years ago, we had about 19 weeks of no rain whatsoever, and it was really scorching. And I can't remember, I think the local radio came as well and talked to us about how we were managing without water. So, you know, it's changeable times, really. And I suppose, you know, we don't stick rigidly to the planting times on seeds, but I think sometimes it's worth a gamble at either end of the season.
So, Gareth, now I'm going to ask you to drag out your twiddly bit, which was all about a hint and tip.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
I haven't put it in, but I'm just going to talk to Julia about a brilliant hint and tip.
Oh, my hint and
Yes.
tip.
Oh, you have one? This is your one of your ones.
Yeah, I've had a brilliant
Get 'em out,
idea.
girl.
So, well, as I mentioned, you know, got downhearted. So, of course, then what you have to do is go to the seed catalogues
Catalogue.
and start planning for next year, because that's the only way you can look forward. Now, I've been on some seed suppliers, Plants of Distinction. I've also been on Chiltern Seeds.
She's been on everything,
I
actually.
have been on everything, yeah. Don't tell the husband.
No, he don't
But
listen, does he?
The thing is that their seed packets come without a picture on. And now that's no good to me, because I want to know what I'm planting. Because I've forgotten by then what I actually ordered.
I think I know where we're going with this.
So all I've done is I get the seed catalogue, and then I
Blue Peter.
Yeah, I cut the picture out of the seeds that of the seeds that I've ordered,
Stick it
and
back
then
plastic.
I get the glue and I stick a picture on the packet, because that helps me remember what I've ordered.
Gareth.
Question, is
Yeah.
Julia allowed near glue?
It's only Pritt stick.
Okay.
But yeah.
Nice, he was only asking.
I know, but look, Elaine, I've got some beauties here. So yeah, I mean, all of these
I
are
thought
actually...
it was genius, actually,
Thank
Julia.
you.
Genius, and it's a shame I hadn't thought of it.
Well, there you go. I'll let you copy. It's all right.
I will
I'm
now.
sure you'll have ordered some from these as well.
Can't say too much. I mean, he doesn't listen either,
No,
so
no.
we're safe. It's okay
No.
to
It's only when the
say,
postman knocks at the door with 100 way to seed packets, he knows that you've ordered, doesn't he?
Well, no, because what I do, you see, is we've got a plan.
Oh,
what
it's
happens
ever so
is, you
clever,
like
this
this
is,
one.
yeah.
So Julia makes her big order,
Yeah.
and then she sends it care of me. So then the big box arrives, and my husband says, "What the hell's this?" I say, "Oh, blimey, it's Julia. She don't want him to know that she's ordered all of this."
Yeah.
Vice versa.
I do the same. So Elaine orders what she wants, has it sent to me, and our husbands don't know any different, because we're just sneaking each other's in for each other, really.
I mean, you could get away with that one, or you could just get them to send them to those little postal things at the supermarket where you go and put a code in them and it opens
Do
the
you
door.
actually think that we could do that, Gareth? We get lost on the straight road. Half left.
I think Julia could.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
So there you go. So that's what we've been up to. Lots of ordering of seeds and bulbs and all kinds of things, haven't we?
Talking of bulbs, Julia,
Yeah.
shall we link to garlic?
Garlic? Oh, yes, okay.
All right then.
You've gone off
She's gone off piece, hasn't she?
She's completely
'Cause I was
gone
gonna
off the script.
She's gone off piece because I was going to put garlic into the next one. But no.
Oh, right. Well, do you want to talk about it now or not?
Whoa,
Why don't we save it for the next one?
Oh,
Save
yeah.
it,
yeah.
like
And
it.
then people can go out and buy a garlic bulb, can't they, in the meantime?
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
'Cause they're
So
only a few
instead of spending, I don't know, how much, show me your seeds
I'm
again.
not telling you how much
I
they
can guess. I mean, just roughly, they're cheaper than you pay in the shops, aren't they, for packet seeds? Or are they more expensive?
Slightly, roughly the same.
Roughly the same. Okay, so hang on, just do that sort of croupier thing of
Yeah, that was very clever, Julia. That is good.
Spread them out across the table.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't included the ones I've had from King's yet.
Oh, it's quite a
So
lot.
for 35p,
Yes.
then buy yourself a garlic bulb and we'll tell you what to do with it next week.
Yeah, it's
Forward selling.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay. Right. So anyway, Gareth earlier, before we started rambling on and me moaning about giving up, and I'm not. No. We've had some messages in because Gareth was telling people how to get hold of us. What have you got a call in?
Oh, he's gone out this afternoon. That's not very good, is it?
It's not very good at all.
No.
I mean, you book these people
I know.
and then they can't be bothered.
All we want to do is chat to him on the phone. It doesn't matter
Do we have to
where he
name
is.
him?
Yeah.
Do what?
Shall we name him?
Yeah.
Name him? No.
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 I mean, he could take our call in the toilet. It doesn't matter where he's talking to us. Anyway.
So we are
we'll
going to
skate
talk
over.
about-
We'll skate over that one.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
And
do we-
instead? What
what
are we
do-
going to do? We're going to talk about wildlife.
No, we're going to deal with messages that we've had in Elaine.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we
then.
need to answer people's questions.
Start with that then.
Yeah.
All right then. So Peter Marfleet, he's been back on, hasn't he, about his wonky parsnip?
Yeah. Now there was nothing really bad about the parsnip.
Well, there was. It's parsnips.
He doesn't like parsnips.
So, well, Peter told us, first of all, that he'd failed the first year, so followed our advice with the containers and actually got them to germinate and has planted the seeds. Now, the problem that he's found, and I have to say you were a little impatient, Peter, because you pulled them before they are really, well, they've not been frosted and they've not got very big. However, I can understand your
Lump parsnips.
yeah, I can understand your anticipation and that you wanted to have a look at them. So he's pulled one up, and basically it's just comedy veg, Elaine. It's just forked a little bit. And so Peter's...
F-O-R-K.
Yes. And he wants to know what's caused it.
Well, he did say that he dug it over, didn't he? And he hadn't put muck in.
No, he'd not put any muck in.
No. So I would say that it's just the way that perhaps something's hit a boulder.
Yes,
as it
yes.
goes along.
He did
Oh, sorry,
say
I
he'd
just
cleared
kicked
the soil
table.
of any stones, but I think maybe he just needs to clear it a little bit more, make sure
Yeah,
that...
get some more sand in it, that's all.
Yeah.
And parsnips will survive very happily on a sandy soil, so do that for next year.
And one other thing that could have happened is that in putting the seeds out, if he'd got two stuck together, they could have almost grown entwined together, and that could have forced it to fork as well.
Comedy parsnip.
Yeah. Still tastes the same, still tastes lovely.
It's pulling that face.
Yeah. And we've also had a message in from Mandy Hatton, about sweet peas.
Yes. Now then, Mandy's had a few exploding.
I think we need to divert Mandy back to season 1 when we discussed you and your former car.
Yes. Yes, my previous CD car.
Yeah, somebody's driving around with sweet peas growing out the windows now, aren't they, because of you?
Yes, and
That wasn't on the
it's easily
specification.
done. But what happens is, you see, you think that you're being clever. I thought that I was. In that, if you get sweet peas that have gone over, so wait until they go into the pod.
Yeah.
And then all that you do is you take the seed pods off, and if you then put them into a paper bag, what we keep on saying is then fold the paper bag over at the top, because what happens is the sweet peas try to disperse their own seeds and they twist their pod and they throw them
They're very
everywhere.
clever.
They are
They
clever.
are.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and it is unfortunate, you end up with them everywhere.
Oh, so what didn't Mandy do? Didn't she put them in a bag?
No, she didn't. No, she didn't fold the bag over.
Oh.
So unfortunately, they all are all over her car and everywhere else as well.
Beginner's mistake.
I know, we've all done it. But I have got plenty more, Mandy, if you need them, so don't worry about it.
Top-notch advice, no Latin included. The Potty Plotters Podcast.
Julia, you see, a lot of people don't know the kind of setup that we've got here. So we are 9.5 acres, 172 plots. And
That's
we're
quite. Is that quite big? 172 plots.
Yes.
Massive.
Yeah, it's quite a big site. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you normally expect to?
Well, they're all different sizes,
Yeah.
Gareth, dependent on where you are.
I mean, we've been to the smallest where there's literally been 2 plots. Right.
That's a garden.
No,
Yeah.
they literally are allotments. They are just a small pocket of land that somebody has allowed members of the public to rent as allotments. And then we've been to the biggest, or know of the biggest, which is over at St Anne's at Nottingham. That's massive, isn't it, Elaine? That's really...
acres.
I mean, that's much, much bigger than this. So, I mean, for Derby, where we are, I think I know of 4 other sites that are a similar size, but some are spread over different kind of areas. But that is quite a big site, really. I would say most sites have probably got about 80 plots, 70, 80 plots.
And the previous one that I was at had got 40 odd.
Right.
The one that we've just been working at with the football ground, that was only small.
Yeah, whereas the one I was at previously, that was 170 plots.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, in answer to your question, they're all different sizes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, depending on where you are, everybody's got different rules as well, which we've talked about before, but nevertheless, I know that Mandy was talking about that when she came to visit us, that she couldn't have this and she couldn't have that, and it depends on what your rules to the site say as to what you can do on your own plot. But the good thing is we're surrounded by water. I mean, there's water coming down now as we speak.
Happy rain, everybody.
Yeah, here we go again. But we've been flooded for a long time, as we've already said. But we do get a lot of wildlife as a result.
We have had a lot of wildlife on the plots. In fact, I'm just thinking about it in the rain. I've had the duck and her male suitors. What's the female duck called? Mallard, yeah. I've had her pursued by her male suitors through the polytunnel, even. So
she was leading them a wild duck chase.
But yes, I have seen her quite a few times on my plot.
And then when we flooded, they took nesting over underneath the orchard.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Because the orchard became a river.
Yeah.
But we also get herons and egrets, don't we? Or hens.
Are you surprised about, because for people who don't know Derby that well, this is quite inner city Derby as opposed to rural Derby. Derby in Derbyshire is quite a county that has got lots of rural areas that people will know of, like the Peak District and all that kind of thing, but also it's got the urban areas. So Derby itself is quite urban, and where we are, we're surrounded by high-rise student buildings. Are you surprised at the sort of wildlife that comes onto this plot?
Well, I wouldn't anticipate
because it is a city centre. We are literally 5-minute walk to the city centre.
Yeah, and it's funny really, because we all still stop and stare, don't we, when we see all the wildlife that's round here.
Yeah, I mean the swans come in, don't they?
The swans.
Yeah, I mean we sit on the plot and we watch the swans coming in and over to the mill, which is right next to the allotment.
I think they are entertaining though, Julia, aren't they? Because Mill Dam at the back of us is well, it's not very big, is it, when we call it a dam? But it's great because we see the swans come in and they use it like as a runway, don't they?
Yeah.
And they have overshot the runway, and we've had to go up and usher them off the plot.
Barry's plot, wasn't it? Because Barry's plot actually backs onto the dam, and he's had the swan on the plot, and we've had to escort them back onto the dam.
It's the dam, but it's interesting because they have cygnets every year. They mate for life, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is lovely, and they come back every year to the
I've
same
had a couple of
place.
hedgehogs on the plot. We've seen the hedgehogs a few times. I mean, some of them have been quite happy and just pottering around, and then one or two I've had to rescue and take them to the rescue place just because they're out at the wrong time of day when I've seen them. But we have caught them later at night time when we've been, haven't we? So that's nice.
And there's always something. I mean, I came up a couple of days ago and there was a moorhen poddling along. It was quite funny, really. That had come from Eric and Jackie's.
Oh, yes.
Now, we know all about what Eric and Jackie have got on their plot.
Well, for about the last 3 years now, we've had one of the cameras on the plot capturing anything and everything that runs about on the plot.
Including Jackie.
Including Jackie. And I have to mention you as well, when you've been looking after our greenhouses while we've been away.
You'll not get anything wilder than Elaine on your plot.
Spy cam, everybody, spy cam.
No, it's been quite interesting. We've caught various animals as such as on the plot. The most common thing we see is actually the fox.
Really?
And this year we've seen not only the victim fox, but a cub with her as well. Walking up and down the plot, that's been interesting enough.
And how often does the fox come then?
Quite a few nights during the week. Well, we'll see. We usually see it about 3 or 4 times a night during the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be quite good. So we've also seen various things. We've seen a badger once.
Oh, wow.
We've seen a rabbit once.
I feel a book coming on, Eric.
Eric, have you seen anything like a hedgehog or anything like that?
We've seen a hedgehog quite a few times.
Oh,
yes,
that's
we've seen
good.
that around a bit at night. We've actually caught some good shots of the squirrels. That's been a sight. We got one particular shot of the squirrel coming down the path towards the camera with a large strawberry in its mouth.
Ooh. Was that recently? Because I did see.
That was this year, earlier this year.
Oh, because I did see on Elaine's plot the other day, it was almost like challenging me, a great big fat squirrel. Is it a fat squirrel?
Ours isn't. No, it looked quite slim.
Oh well, Elaine's...
It's not been feeding itself off the plot, then, Eric.
Well, Elaine's got a different one then, because hers was challenging me. I got very close to it and it wasn't moving, so that's
Elaine's obviously feeding it too well.
Eric, that's a huge amount of wildlife that you've got on your plot. Do you do anything to encourage them?
Not really. In a sense, you don't want to encourage them too much because their main object is try and eat what you're trying to grow. So, actually, thinking about it, I was thinking the most common thing we've ever seen is a spider that insists on spinning a web across the front of the camera lens. And triggers it off. So we see that a few times.
Mind you, that wouldn't surprise me because we've got a lot of spiders on the plots, and you can guarantee that the time that you want to get into your greenhouse, they've put that web right across where your head height is and you walk into it. Blooming horrible, isn't it, in the morning?
It is, yeah.
Eric, do you see much kind of any birds or anything on your plot as well?
We do see a few magpies and a few pigeons flying about. The best thing we've ever seen was we set the camera up to point at a nest box that we had on site where blue tits were nesting.
Yeah.
Pointed the camera at it, then went away for 2 weeks, hoping to catch the time when the young blue tits came out of the nest. Yeah. You could see them fledging. When we got back, we actually found we had got 232 video clips, all pointing at this nest box. 2 of which showed the blue tits going in and out of the box. 230 which showed the trees in the background waving about. So that was a bit of a disappointment. Yeah.
But did you ever get to see the birds fledging?
No.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Well, luckily I've got them on mine, so I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Oh, and one last question, since we're talking wildlife on the plots. Have you ever caught a Kev plot too?
No. We see quite a bit of wildlife around the river, actually. It runs down the bottom of the plot. In the river, we've seen crayfish.
Oh, yeah. We
once saw little fish in there. We actually arrived a few weeks ago to find 2 crayfish claws on the bottom step leading down to the river. We have a moorhen that visits regular.
Yes, yeah.
We've had in the past a mallard that's come along with about 5 of her ducklings. Oh. The ducklings settle on the bottom step. Mum sits on the little water side and just keeps an eye on them. A few years, 2 or 3 years ago, we actually had a grebe who used to be swimming past twice a day with 2 youngsters.
So, Elaine, perhaps we ought to get ourselves some cameras like Eric's got. Do you think you could set one up?
I could set one up. It would be funny as to who's coming and going on your plot, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, Julia, let's have a little go for the winter. That might be our winter entertainment instead of your seed catalogues. Yes. Nice one. Let's do it. Righty-ho then. So I wanted to talk to you. You mentioned rust earlier.
Yeah.
Right, you've had some, haven't you?
I've had some. I've had a little bit on the leeks, but they're okay because I've covered them. And
right, what is it? Let's go back over that because not everybody knows. I know that you might have some on tools, Gareth. But
don't look at me, they're in the shed.
Yeah. Right.
Or are you calling me a tool?
It's a disease that develops particularly on alliums, really, that you tend to notice them, and it almost it makes the plant look rusty, so the leaves turn a rusty colour. Yeah.
So they go from the vibrant greens to a brown rusty colour. Yeah. And you say allium, so it's onions, garlic, definite, leeks as well. Yeah. Anything else? It's not a quiz, it's all right.
Well, I have had anti-rhinum rust. Now, I don't know if it's in the same family.
Anti-rhinum rust?
Anti's in the family.
It's a very distinct and distant anti.
Right. Yeah. Now, I've had rust on the snapdragons that I planted.
She's like an auntie twice removed.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's the same kind of rust as you get on the leeks. I'm not sure, but it has been prevalent on the snapdragons.
Could it have spread from the leeks?
Yeah. I don't think so, because I noticed it on the snapdragons before I've noticed it on the leeks, to be honest with you. And it really did take hold on the snapdragons. And I think, again, weather related. And also, this year it's been a real experiment for me, growing the tall anti-rhinums, which we've used in the bouquets that when we've given them away. Absolutely fantastic, been made up with them. But maybe it has been a learning year for me in terms of when to plant them. So I only did one sowing of them. And also when I've planted them, I have supported them as they're growing up. So I've had horizontal netting for them to grow up through so that they're supported. But maybe I've planted them too close. I don't know, because one thing that will help prevent rust is airflow, so you need the air to flow around it, but it thrives in moist conditions as well. So when you think about the weather that we've had, the cool moist conditions, I think it's played into the hands of the rust as well. But yeah,
Rust have hands?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like Rusty Lee. It almost looks
Rusty
like...
Lee?
Oh, do you remember her on the red?
I've got a story about
She
Rusty.
was so jolly, wasn't she?
Let's just hold that there. I have a story about that.
Yeah, okay.
So when I was a kid, she was on a BBC station in the West Midlands. She presented a Sunday afternoon show. She is mad.
She's funny, isn't she?
She's funny. She's mad as a box of frogs.
Oh, we get on brilliantly with her.
Oh, yes, yeah. And she presented this show on a Sunday afternoon for a period of time, and she did a competition. They were allowed to do competitions in those days, just before the Blue Peter Cat incident. And the prize she used to give away was she used to bake a cake for you. But because I lived where I lived, which was about 30 miles from Birmingham, a cake wouldn't travel that well. So she sent me a CD instead. Oh. Anyway, that's my Rusty Leek story. We should get her on.
Oh,
that would
get her to come and do some cooking on the plot.
Oh, now wouldn't that be funny? We'd never get. Well, it'd just be laughter, wouldn't it?
It would
just be laughter.
Worth it.
But yeah, the rust.
I might be friends with her on Facebook, actually.
Oh, yeah, connections, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, back to the rust on my snapdragons, Elaine. It doesn't look like the rust on the alliums, in the fact that the leaf turns generally the rusty colour, and it's almost like a pustule that develops on the underneath of the leaves, and then eventually the plant starts to die off and it goes up at the stem as well.
So have you pulled them out?
I have now, yeah. Initially I tried to stop it by removing the leaves that were affected, but I think, with the weather that we've had, it's just gone rife. But interestingly, the ones that I did in the polytunnel, which were the experiment ones at the start of the season, they haven't got it.
I can still see some behind you here.
They haven't got it. Now, what I have done, because I am still experimenting with them to see how many cuts I can get and that kind of thing, is I have thinned them out to every other plant. So I've removed every other plant to open up the airflow a little bit, and they're perfectly fine. So it's definitely a weather-related problem. But yeah, I've been delighted with them, and I have to say I'll be growing even more next year. I'll give them more space in, definitely. I'll probably do a second sowing of them as well, so that instead of trying to stretch the ones that I've got to last the whole season, I'll just have some fresh ones going in.
Good advice.
So at what point of the season would you do the second sowing? Because we planted them quite early on.
Yeah, I think
February
I planted them about February time.
Yeah.
I'd probably start this sowing, a second sowing, maybe about May time, June time.
Yeah,
even.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And that would elongate the period then straight the way through to the first frost, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they have been fantastic. And in my many seeds here that I have had on order, I think I've got about another 5 or 6 varieties.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Now then, recently we were out and about, Julia, and this lady, she was very enthused to pop along and talk to me about what she's been planting. Now, the difficulty that I had was I didn't know whether to say the truth or whether to just go along with her enthusiasm, because that's what we're all about, isn't it? And I decided, for me, the latter. And I decided to let her learn by doing.
Well, yes, I mean, that's what we always say. Sometimes you need to learn from your mistakes. So people can always give you advice, but then really, until you've done it, you don't know, do you? And that's the better way of learning in some respects. However, you're almost setting someone up to fail.
I didn't.
You did.
She did it herself.
She set herself up to fail.
So what was she looking at doing then?
Right, what she'd actually done, Gareth, was that she was bounding, and she'd just set...
Tigger.
Yes,
Aww.
very much so. She'd just set, not believe this, tomato plants.
What?
I know. Tomato plants, because, Gareth, people don't know how long tomatoes take to grow.
No.
And they see things on the telly, they see things on Instagram and all that malarkey. But what they don't realise is that some of these things are from across the other side of the world, i.e. Australia.
And I don't know.
We need to get Hazel back on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know whether these Instagrammy things, I mean, you know, these are... Gareth will know about these. On the algorithms and things like
algorithms.
that. Yeah. On the things like that just make things pop up on people's feeds.
So if you happen to have been searching for, I don't know, tomatoes, you will get fed lots of tomatoes on your feed. If you maybe have a smart speaker and you maybe have said, Jack, go and get the tomatoes out, you'll find that tomatoes pop up on your feed a lot.
Oh.
So it's listening, basically.
Well, this person, she's
Didn't
just
listen.
planted some, and I just thought, oh, now then. And then went on to say, and you'll not believe, I planted some beetroot a week and a half ago, and they've already come through. And I looked and I thought, should I say anything or not? And I decided not to, because people do need to learn, and there's a time to teach people and a time to let people have a go.
Do you think she'll know that it's because she's planted at the wrong time, though? She might just think she's not got green fingers, or she might just think that she's overwatered them or something. It's your fault, Elaine. Did you keep her details? Did you check her details? We need to let her know.
Where I can find her.
Right. We need to let her know because, of course, tomatoes, no. I mean, we're going into the winter months. It's too cold.
No, but I think
that we've not got enough light.
But other people, you see, you get new plot holders, for instance, and they're coming along and they're so happy.
Yes.
They're so excited of having a new plot. And we always say, and as letting secretary in the past, we've always said, no, it's September, now is the time to actually start to clear. The only thing that we'll be talking about in the future week will be garlic. Other than that, we're not wanting you to plant anything at all. Now start to clear, get your structures in place and sort out your own plan. But no, as fast as we're saying it, people continue to plant, don't they? So
They'll
it is
learn.
hard.
Yeah,
yes, and
learn.
I think that's the thing,
Yeah.
Gareth. They have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they have obviously not been listening to our podcast.
Well, I hope you gave her details. Is she listening now?
I don't know, I can't see it from here.
Well, lady who's planted your tomato seeds, if you've not been listening, well, there you go. But if you are listening now, don't get downhearted. As long as you've not sown the whole packet, then you can start again in about March or April next year, when you can set your seeds and you will get tomato plants.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Very authoritarian, Julia.
I'm not used to this.
No,
It's normally your job. It's like she's taken over from me.
Yeah, well, she's learned a lot. So there you go. Thanks ever so much, Eric, anyway, for talking to us. And let's find out all about a bit more wildlife. Have you seen Kev, talking of which?
I've not, no.
I haven't seen him for weeks.
No,
No.
not me. That's a bit unnerving, isn't it?
Yeah. Little jobs keep getting done on my plot, though, so I think
What,
it's
is he
Kev.
doing new jobs?
Yeah.
Well, blooming marvellous, isn't it? All I get is a chuffing badger making holes everywhere.
Okay.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.